preliminaries.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's January 13th, 2022 virtual hearing. Happy New Year to all of you. My name is Nicholas Blendy, and I'm the Deputy Executive Secretary of the Board. I'm going to go over the items that you see on the screen right now for how we're going to run the virtual hearing today. Um, Today's hearing, as all of our hearings, is on the WebEx platform. Cisco WebEx is the online meeting platform that various city entities are using to conduct virtual meetings, such as the Board of Estimates, City Council, and Planning Department, which we've been doing since the outbreak of COVID-19. Some basics: in order to fully use the system, members should have access to a laptop, an iPad, a smartphone, or a similar device with camera and microphone capabilities. We note that if your electronic device does not have both camera and microphone capabilities, you need the camera to testify, and you can use a phone number that's on the screen below to dial in, and I will read that off. To participate in today's meeting, you should go to the link that you see on the screen, which is also available on the BLLC's website under hearings and today's date. We suggest that if you are going to use the WebEx platform smart apps, that you have downloaded everything and tested it so that things run smoothly today. And if a member, as I said, doesn't have access to a computer, you can call the following number: 1-408-418-9388, access code 23446799170, and listen only to the hearing. Materials, evidence, and related items for today's docket, January 13th. Copies of the short docket are available on our website under the hyperlinks with today's date in the hearings section, um, as well as the long docket. All evidence to be considered for today's hearing must adhere to the 48-hour rule that the board has for its virtual hearings, meaning any evidence that was submitted on or before 11 a.m. Tuesday, January 11th, 2022 is valid. Otherwise, it's untimely and it shall not be considered by the board during today's hearing. All evidence should be submitted to our Assistant Executive Secretary, Ms. Stacy Russell, via her email, which is on the screen, and the board is not accepting documents in person. If an application is attempted to be amended, it needed to have been done on or before December 30th, 2021 for every case being heard today. If somebody attempts to amend an application today, the case will automatically be postponed. And in addition to everything being available on our website, licensees and applicants were mailed a letter with instructions on how to participate in today's hearing. Today's procedures: I'm reading the preliminary instructions. I will also be calling the cases on the order listed on the short docket. I will then, as the case is called, ask the applicant and his or her representative to identify themselves, and if applicable, be sworn in with themselves or any supporting witnesses. Then there will be a case hearing. The board will provide an opportunity for the applicant and or a representative to present the case to the board. At the conclusion of the case, the chairman will ask individuals who are on the call and have access to the necessary technological devices if they would like to testify in support or opposition to an application. If you do wish to testify, I will ask you to use the raise your hand feature, which is at the bottom of your WebEx, and then you will be recognized and identified, and then you will have to be sworn in before you testify. We do note that if you are a member of the public and you wish to testify, you are subject to questioning by the board and potentially cross-examination by an attorney or the applicant. And lastly, if you only have a phone access, you will not be allowed to testify. You must have video camera ability for the court reporter and the board. After all testimony and evidence is presented, the board will then vote on what application is in front of them, and our Assistant Executive Secretary will then read exhibits into the record. Lastly, the board is not authorized to discuss any non-case related items today. They are sitting in their quasi-judicial capacity and may only hear what is before them. General ground rules: please mute yourself when you're not speaking to minimize feedback and extra noise. We ask that you please identify yourself and state the spelling of your name if the court reporter asks before you speak. Please always speak slowly and in a clear voice so that the court reporter and the board can understand what is being said and who is saying it. I note that, again, a court reporter is here and this event is running live on Charm TV. Individuals who use profanity or disrespectful and unruly may be expelled from today's hearing. All attendees, applicants, licensees, and members of the public that wish to provide testimony must be sworn prior to the board taking testimony. No physical evidence is being taken today. We are virtual, and absolutely no amendments to an application can be made to today's hearing. Automatic postponement. Lastly, some helpful reminders. Please be prepared Please read your materials ahead of time, test your video conferencing platform, be in a good location with a quiet space with good light and a strong internet connection so everyone can see and hear you clearly. We ask that you please be present and not be multitasking so when the moment comes, you're ready. And lastly, please be patient with yourself and with others. The short docket is on the screen. Mr. Chair, we have some folks who are ready to go. Do you have any preliminaries?
No, let's start.
All right. Then the first item on today's docket, licensee John Chenery and Alicia Chenery, JR's Bar and Grill Incorporated, trading as the Port Public House. Premises are license is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202. Mr. Chenery and Ms. Chenery are here and are unrepresented. They have been moved into the panel, Mr. Chairman. Please, John and Alicia, hit the start video, and Mr. Chairman, they should be in the room.
Okay, let's ask. Let me ask the reporter to swear them in, please.
Okay, just waiting for the video. Okay, Mr. Chenery is trying to start his video, and then Ms. Chenery, if you can start your video as well.
My video is backwards, so someone can tell me how to fix that. That would be wonderful.
That might be there
How
it
about
is.
that?
There you go. Yeah. Okay. And then Ms. Chenery, if you can turn on your video as well.
She may not be available. She can listen. She's working for the state of Maryland for the VA.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can just go with Mr. Chenery.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can represent.
Okay, that's fine. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chenery. We have your letter of December 3 indicating that you're struggling to reopen this bar and grill. What's the situation now?
We are continuing to work to reopen as soon as possible, working on funding. Simultaneously, the pub is for sale, and working with an investor now, which may even further expedite us getting open. But we do need some time. Even if we were to work that out, today, it would take us a couple of months to, retool everything, basically clean it up, get employees back, and stock the restaurant, et cetera.
So do you think the 180 days you'll be able to do something, though?
Yes, sir.
The commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Is there anyone else who wishes to testify, Mr. Bundy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no member of the public raise their hand.
All right, well, Ms. Chenery, on the basis then of the letter you sent us, the other applications, and your testimony this morning, I vote to approve a hardship extension for a period of 180 days. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today by the applicant, I also vote to approve the request for a hardship extension of 180 days.
Mr. Chairman, based upon the letter and the testimony of Mr. Chenery, I too would grant a hardship extension for 180 days.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, well, thank you, Ms. Chenery. Good luck. I hope you're able to get things under control.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it.
That concludes this matter before the board today. A licensee will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with results of today's hearing. Mr. Chair, are we ready to move forward?
Yes.
Shall I drop off, sir?
Yep.
Thank you.
Then the next matter before the board today is licensee Kristen Sullins, Harbor East Arts Cinema LLC, trading as Landmark Theater at Harbor East. Premises are located at 800 Alisana Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and a licensee is requesting a 180-day hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-2202. Ms. Hecker is counsel, and she is in the room, and I believe the licensee is also here, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Ms. Hecker. You identify
Good morning.
yourself for the record?
Good morning, Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin Greenberg on behalf of the applicant, and I believe the applicant, Ms. Sullins, is here as well.
Unless you need her to testify, you can explain to us. We have your letter of December 14th that the cinema is under new management and hopes to open. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They closed at the beginning of the pandemic in accordance with the state and local executive orders. And since they were closed anyway, took the opportunity to do some renovations of the theater. They have a new operator. They're expecting to be complete, best case scenario, March. Hopefully it won't be too much past that. There have been, delays in construction and supply chain issues, but we're expecting to be able to open this spring.
Okay. Do the commissioners have any questions for Ms. Hecker?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. Do we have public comment, Mr. Blundy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. No one has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
All right. Ms. Hecker, then thank you. On the basis of your application and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 180-day hardship extension for this license. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today from the attorney, I also vote to approve the request for hardship extension of 180 days.
Based upon the letter and the proffer from Ms. Hecker, I too would grant the 180-day hardship extension.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Hecker. Good luck to your client.
Thank you very much.
That concludes this matter before the board today. Licensee will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's hearing.
Thank you.
Next steps.
Next.
Mr. Chair. The next matter then, Mr. Chair, is applicant Bryson Keynes, 313 North Charles Food Group LLC, trading as Good Food. Premises are located at 313 North Charles Street, and this is an application to transfer ownership from a secured creditor requesting off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. David Mister is counsel and is moved into the room, and I am moving the licensees in as well, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Mister, would you identify yourself for the record, please?
There we go. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Associate Commissioners, David F. Mister, Mr. Winter and Bartlett LLC, representing the applicant, Mr. Keynes, on behalf of the entity which will be trading as Good Food, 313 North Charles Food Group LLC.
Can you proffer for us what the situation is?
I certainly would, Your Honor. This location at 313 North Charles Street was occupied by, and the license was used by an entity that traded as Macy's for, I believe, close to 15 years. Unfortunately, due to COVID and some other related financial difficulties endemic in the restaurant community, they had to close. A related party to the investors in this applicant group was the property owner and secured creditor. With the board's permission, that license was transferred to the secured creditor for future transfer. As I said, the principals in the secured creditor group are also going to be principals of this restaurant operation, which of course will continue to be the landlord. We're hoping that will help contribute to the future success. The board has seen background on Mr. Keynes, but I would just inform the board that he's been in the restaurant business for some 20 years. And most recently, he managed and was operating partner for Roy's Hawaiian Fusion Cuisine in Harbor East, and had his own separate restaurant for a while in Fells Point. He's going to be the principal operator here, and we hope with some additional funding that we'll be able to complete some renovations at the premises, as well as upgrading and be able to be open within 180 days from the board's ruling. The premise is substantially fitted out as a restaurant, even though this is a BD7 license. And we do have the, I suppose, the option, if we haven't gotten everything quite up to snuff, kitchen-wise, et cetera, of opening as merely a tavern operation until that can happen. But it's our desire to be fully functional within a 180-day period. And we'd be happy to answer any questions or present testimonies the board may desire.
Okay, let's see. Do the commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Are there others who wish to testify? Mr. Blundy?
If any member of the if any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. No one has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. I note I don't see any violations on this license. So on the basis of the materials contained in the application and your proffer, I'd vote to approve the transfer from the secured creditor of this license with off-premises catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership and also the request of off-premise catering and the delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Based upon the application and the proffer from Mr. Mister, I too would approve the application to transfer ownership from a secured creditor with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mister. Good luck to your client.
Thank you to the board and Happy New Year, everyone.
Same to you.
That concludes this matter before the board today. Licensees or applicant will receive follow-up instructions on how to complete the transfer that was preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Ready to move forward, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
And the next matter before the board today is applicant Mantri Wongchali, B All Thai LLC, trading as Bodhi Federal Hill, 1444 Light Street. And this is an application to transfer ownership and requesting outdoor table service of a Class D light beer and wine license. And Mr. Fogelman is counsel on this matter and is in the room, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Fogelman, good morning. Please identify yourself.
Applicant. Can you see and hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. We're here. We have Mr. Wongchali, the applicant, who goes by Jack. He should be on the in the hearing, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Stevens, who are the current operators of the establishment, and investors. This is an application to transfer ownership, requesting outdoor table service. Mr. and Mrs. Stevens have a long history of restaurant management. Additionally, Mr. Wongchali does as well. Mr. Wongchali is a city resident, and nothing's going to change. This is effectively adding a partner to this business. So if you have any questions for the applicant, it's a successful restaurant, happily serving the Light Street community down in South Baltimore, and a D license. Never had any problems, as far as I can tell, with the neighborhood or any violations. So like I say, this is a transfer involving stock ownership, and this will remain as a pillar to the community.
Okay, commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Do we have anyone else who wishes to tell us anything?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one raised their hand.
All right. Mr. Fogelman, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application and your proffer, I vote to approve the transfer of this Class D beer and wine license with outdoor table service. Commissioners?
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership and the request for outdoor table service.
Based upon the application and the proffer from Mr. Fogelman, I too would approve the transfer of ownership with outdoor table service.
Ms. Russell?
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, menu.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Fogelman. Good luck to your client.
Thank you all.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with instructions on how to complete the transfer that was preliminarily approved today, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Mr. Chair, are we ready to move forward?
We are. Thank you.
Then the next matter is also a client of Mr. Fogelman's and is Stephen M. Banks and Alexander E. Politish, Duna Brothers HP LLC, trading as Duna Brothers, 1409 Point Street. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1604C2i, requiring $700,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 65% of food sales, and a seating capacity for a minimum of 150 people, requesting live entertainment and outdoor table service. And as I said, Mr. Fogelman is counsel, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Would you identify yourself again for the record, please?
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants. Can you see the applicants, Mr. Bank and Mr. Polich?
I can.
Mr. Banks and Mr. Polich? Sorry.
Yes, we can. Do you want to proffer for them?
I'd be happy to. There's a lot to proffer here, but I'll run through it pretty quickly. Mr. Banks and Mr. Polich. Mr. Polich is to the left of the split screen and Mr. Banks is to the right of the split screen. They have a successful business in Charles Village called Donor Bros. It is a wonderful, fast casual, great servant to the community. I've been in there for lunch. It's busy, it's quick, and the price point is surprisingly affordable compared to some other restaurants in the area. They decided they want to take this to Southeast Baltimore to bring their food closer to communities like mine in Canton and Fells Point, even downtown. And it's Middle Eastern, European street food, for lack of a better term. Absolutely delicious. They make the best curry ketchup I've had outside of Europe, and they're owned by hand. So they themselves are putting $1.7 million into the ground floor of this building. They've already reached the $700,000 in investment made, and we have previously submitted a capital budget. Furthermore, we've offered a seating plan showing 152 seats. The entire space itself has an investment of $1.7 million. I'm sorry, the applicants with the $1.7 million. Now, it coming from a hole in the ground to a large commercial and residential apartment building, the owner of that property has probably spent several million just allocated to the ground floor restaurant space. So we're way over as far as dollars are concerned. They might even be able to qualify for multiple licenses in this building if that were the layout, but it's not. They want to continue to provide this fast casual atmosphere. They are asking to add a liquor license, so that will or could change the dynamic slightly versus their very orderly and very well received Charles Village location. They've been in business, like I say, since 2018. And I, unfortunately, until last night, did not see the letter that was written by Dr. Metzke to this board. Unfortunately, she didn't provide any contact information, or at least the way the board laid out the record in the hearing emails doesn't give any contact information from her. But she'll be happy to know, based on the concerns in her letter, that the applicants are only preparing to sell beer and wine. So there probably won't even be liquor on the premises, even though they would be in their right by law to do so. The other things that I think are very helpful for her concerns, and I would ask Mr. Ackman or Mr. Blendy if they could contact her and ask her if she would be okay with sharing her contact information with the applicants. They'd be happy to engage her in conversation. That notwithstanding, let me tell you very quickly why I think that she's not going to have any difficulties with this establishment in the neighborhood. Number one, they don't expect their alcohol sales to be even 15% of their gross sales. They are planning to stay open from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Dr. Metzke mentions in her letter that we have a couple other bars in the neighborhood and or restaurants in the neighborhood, and they close at certain times. So she mentioned Vita Taco Bar, and Vita Taco Bar is open until 11. and it does have live entertainment. So this establishment will be closed before the other one that she mentions. They are, as far as live entertainment goes, only planning to have 1 or 2 person, duos, effectively, not rock bands or anything like that. Additionally, they have a great alcohol management system. Their POS system requires an ID scan for the purchase of alcohol. Additionally, their own management policy is that there is a 32-ounce beer limit per person, so that you only can have 2 16-ounce beers before you are cut off. So I don't think they're going to disturb the community in any way, shape, or form. In fact, given Harbor Point, it's new. It, quite frankly, is expensive. I think this will be a great lower price point addition to that neighborhood, because everybody loves the 4-star restaurants, but at the same time, sometimes you just want a quick bite to eat. And I think it'll serve the residents of the building and the neighbors around them very, very well. Their alcohol management policy is to card everyone unless they become a regular, and they've carded them 3 times. Mr. Polich and Mr. Banks, while they may occasionally be serving beer, they will not they will have their servers alcohol management certified, and they will have themselves alcohol management certified as well. So again, if you would consider Dr. If Dr. Meskey would like to share contact information, I think these gentlemen would love to sit down with her and let her know their vision going forward. It really is, it's no bar at all. It's a restaurant, and they're going to close appropriately to demonstrate that they are a restaurant. So I think the factors have been met here, and I thank you for your time.
So, Mr. Fogelman, do you know Dr. Meskey?
I do not. I just saw this letter online this morning. And
what makes you think that Dr. Jordan Meskey is a female?
Oh, that is my bad, Your Honor.
No, I don't know whether this person is or not, but I just assumed it was a male. Anyway, that's not relevant necessarily.
No.
You addressed his or her concerns, I think.
Right.
I just wanted to raise that issue. So, the commissioners have questions?
Mr. Chair, I just have a statement. I want to thank the applicants for the consideration for the community neighbor.
Of course. Okay, thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who wishes to testify, Mr. Blundy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature on the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
Okay. All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application and the extensive proffer from Mr. Fogelman, and in light of the consideration that's been given to the concerns that were legitimately raised by Dr. Meskey, I vote to approve this application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with live entertainment and outdoor table service. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license, and also the requesting of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Based upon the application, the proffer from Mr. Fogelman, I too would approve the new Class B license with live entertainment and outdoor table service, and would encourage the licensees to meet with Dr. Meskey, and to the degree that our community liaison can help facilitate that, I would appreciate it greatly.
Okay, Ms. Russell.
Article exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, menu. 2, capital budget. And 3, letter of opposition dated 11/7/21.
All right, Mr. Fogelman, first of all, let me note, I see the governor is finally moving on the district courts. Maybe you'll have a change of occupation before long. But in any event, thank you and good luck to your clients.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicants will receive follow-up instructions on how to obtain their new Class B license that was preliminarily approved by the board today. Mr. Chair, are you ready to move forward?
I am.
You're not yet free of Mr. Fogelman, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This is his final client for the day, and this is licensee Sean Chopra, Good Neighbor Incorporated, trading as Good Neighbor. Premises are located at 3827 to 33 Falls Road. Licensee holds a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request to add live entertainment, expand the existing outdoor table service, and expand the premises to include 3827 to 33 Falls Road. And Mr. Fogelman is counsel, and Mr. Chopra is in the panel, Mr.
All right, one more time, Mr. Fogelman,
Yep,
please.
thank you, Your Honor. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of licensee and applicant Sean Chopra.
And would you like to proffer for us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Mr. Chopra received permission from zoning as we have submitted a resolution from the BMZA to add accessory live entertainment for the existing restaurant on the first floor, using the second and third floors as a hotel, and expanding his outdoor dining to an adjoining consolidated lot. So Mr. Chopra is a very valued member of the Falls Road community of Hamden. And this doesn't, I believe, have any community opposition. A lot of that has to do with the fact that the way Mr. Chopra has used Good Neighbor since he opened. It's a market, it's a daytime place. You know, normal hours are like 7 to 7, and everything is shut down by 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So he'd like to continue that. And as Mr. Bauer said before the hearings were broadcast, this is effectively going to be Hamden's first hotel. And so he's excited about that. It's obviously, you can imagine, if you wanted to visit Hamden, where would you stay? You'd stay downtown, you'd stay on the Beltway, maybe you'd stay in Fells Point, but this will be a convenience. And he looks forward to the reception that he receives with the rental of these hotel rooms. So again, nothing's changing in this one, but it is expanding. And we haven't had any problem with Mr. Chopra or his servers since he's come into existence. And so I think the alcohol management policy there is working well, which is also to have a 100% ID check.
And I think we had some question, Commissioner Reisinger raised this earlier, but there's an MOU in existence, isn't there?
I don't have it, but if there is and it's signed, it will be honored.
Okay.
And it might have been an email fail because I saw Good Neighbor. And
I think it's been there on the original license.
Oh, right. So that will not change. That yeah, there's an executed, and I can ask Mr. Chopra if you want.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to verify. Okay.
But any MOU in existence will remain in full force and effect, as we say.
All right, Commissioner.
No questions.
No questions.
Public comment.
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one's raised their hand.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Fogelman. On the basis of the materials contained in the application and your proffer, I vote to approve the request to add live entertainment, expand existing outdoor table service, and expand premises to include 3827 to 3833 Falls Road to the existing Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the request to add live entertainment, expand the existing outdoor table service, and also expand the premise to include 3827 to 3833.
Thank you.
Based upon the application, the proffer from Mr. Fogelman, I too would approve the live entertainment, the expansion of existing outdoor table service, and the expansion of premises to include 3827 through and including 3833 Falls Road.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fogelman. Good luck to your client.
Thank you all.
That concludes this matter before the board. A licensee will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with instructions on how to obtain what was approved by the board today. Mr. Chair, are you ready to move forward?
Yes.
Then the next matter before the board today is licensee James Jones and Wundim Seyun Dimisi, Gaiety Liquors Incorporated, trading as Gaiety Liquors. Premises are located at 412 East Baltimore Street, and This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B, and Mr. Kadensky is counsel on this one.
All right, good morning, Mr. Kadensky. Please identify yourself for the record.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky. I'll get me on, start my email. There we go.
Okay.
Proof that even a blind squirrel can find it not once in a while.
We have your letter of December 8th indicating that they're trying to get this back in operation. Is that correct?
That's good. And with the lot, the next ones are all mine. They're having a tough time getting, they're about 98% done, either one or two factors. And within the 90 days, probably even sooner than that, they'll be ready to open and transfer. So we'd ask for a 9-day extension.
Okay, commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Anyone else, Mr. Blendy?
Any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature on the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
Mr. Kadensky, then on the basis of what you have provided the commission, I would vote to approve the request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon Mr. Kadensky's letter and his proffer, I too would grant the request for a transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kadensky. Good luck to your client.
That concludes this matter before the board. Are you ready to move to the next matter, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Then the next matter is also Mr. Kadensky's client, licensee Mia L. Conaway and Dwaru A. Bullock Jr., general partnership, trading as trade name pending. The premises are located at 2343 East Monument Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
So, Mr. Kadensky, would you identify yourself again, please?
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, representing the applicant licensee. This is the same similar situation. They're probably 95% finished with getting everything transferred. They need one or two small items, and they'll get that done during this 90-day period if the board can see fit to give an extension.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Anyone else, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature of the WebEx platform. No one has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Kadensky, on the basis of your letter to the board of December 8th requesting this transfer hardship extension and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension. Commissioner?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon Mr. Kadensky's letter and his proffer, I too would approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kadensky. We still got you up for the next one.
I'm going to be here for a while for the duration, as they say.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee will receive follow-up correspondence with the results of today's hearing from this agency. Next matter, Mr. Chair.
Please.
The next matter, licensee India Solomon LLC, trading as India Solomon. Premises are located at 1000 East Hoffman Street, and license is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. And this is a request for a transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B for 90 days.
Once again, for the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, representing the applicant licensee. Similar to the other requests, it's tough getting people out there. This is on its way to coming to some sort of fruition very shortly. We would ask for a 9-day extension.
Okay, commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Anyone from the public, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. No one has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
All right. Mr. Kadensky, on the basis of your letter to the board December 15th requesting this transfer hardship extension and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this license. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon Mr. Kudinski's letter and his proffer, I too would approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kudinski.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's hearing. Next matter, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
The next matter, licensee Lee Hitz and Regina Merritt, LL Pro Hospitality Baltimore LLC, trading as The Revival at Mount Vernon Place. Premises are 612 Cathedral Street, and license is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license. And this is a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
Again, for the record, Melvin J. Kudinski representing the applicant licensees. This is a similar request for this hotel to complete this transfer. I think they're 95% done at this point. Should be able to complete the next 90 days.
Okay, commissioners,
No questions.
No questions.
public comment?
If any member of the public wishes to testify, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. No one has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
All right. Mr. Kudinski, on the basis then of your letter requested December 17, 2021, and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this license. Commissioner?
Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon Mr. Kudinski's letter and his proffer, I too would approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kudinski.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant licensees will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's hearing. The next matter, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is applicant licensee Taisha Ruffin, Corks and Kegs LLC, trading as Corks and Kegs. Premises are located at 3820 East Pratt Street. This is a Class D light beer and wine license, and this is a request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
Again, for the record, Melvin J. Kudinski representing the applicant licensee. This is a similar situation. We're getting the inspectors and so forth in here. I think they'll be completed within the next 90 days and ask for extension of the transfer and provision.
Commissioners,
No question.
No questions.
public comment?
If any member of the public wishes to testify, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. No one has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Kudinski, on the basis of your letter to the board of December 16, 2021, and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve the request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon Mr. Kudinski's letter and his proffer, I too would approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you again, Mr. Kudinski.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee applicant will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's hearing. Next matter, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is licensee applicant Latina Crosby, Crosby's Pratt Street Incorporated, trading as trade name pending. Premises are located at 1846 to 50 West Pratt Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
For the record, again, Melvin J. Kudinski representing the applicant licensee. This is a similar, trying to get the inspectors in. 2 or 3 of the inspectors have been in. We're waiting on the rest of them. We would be able to complete this within 90 days. We'll need that 90-day extension if the board would see fit to grant it.
Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Anyone else, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
Mr. Kudinski, then on the basis of your letter requested December 16, 2021, and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this license. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon the letter and the proffer from Mr. Kudinski, I too would approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you again, Mr. Kudinski.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee applicant will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's hearing. Next matter, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is Liang Dong Lee and Per Alexander Lee Dongs LLC, trading as Bay Island Seafood. Premises are located at 1901 to 05 West Pratt Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license and a request for a 90-day transfer hardship extension under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1705B.
For the record, Melvin J. Kudensky, representing the applicant licensee transferee in this instance. You may note this of interest, again, not this is right across the street from the prior one. I'm sure somebody in their lifetime's been there and got crabs at this location. They're very close to finishing that. I think one final inspection, so they need a 90-day extension request.
All right. Commissioners,
No questions.
No questions.
anyone else? Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
Ms. Kudensky, on the basis of your letter requested December 16, 2021, and your proffer this morning, I vote to approve a 90-day transfer hardship extension for this license. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I vote to approve the request for a transfer hardship extension of 90 days.
Based upon Mr. Kudensky's letter and his proffer, I too would approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Kudensky.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee applicant will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with the results of today's hearing. Next matter, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
The next matter, also Mr. Kudensky's client, applicant Benjamin Attar and Jennifer Caroline Hernandez, Red Eye Shift LLC, trading as the Night Shift. 1725 South Ponca Street is the premises, and this is an application to transfer ownership of both a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and a Class AE adult entertainment license with continuation of live entertainment.
Again, for the record, Melvin J. Kudensky representing the applicants in this case. Mr. Attar is here with me. They are currently, both of them, licensees. This is a change of the ownership with Mr. Attar getting 50%, but he is currently shown on the license with Mr. Hernandez, and we're adding him as a 50% owner. He's been involved in the business for the last 5 or 6 months. It's tough getting the place reopened, especially with adult entertainment. It's a little chilly for the girls at this point, or young ladies, let's put it that way. But now they're getting back into operation. He is familiar with the rules and regulations of the liquor board, adult entertainment laws. He's had alcohol awareness, and they're going to continue to operate along the same basis, and he's there basically on a daily basis.
They did have some problems back in 2018. Are they straightened out?
Yeah, they did. I think it was a problem with the outside area, but I think all that's been calmed down at this point.
Do the commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
Do we still have Commissioner Greenfeld?
Sorry, no questions, sorry.
That's okay. Public comment?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, no one has raised their hand.
On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffer from Mr. Kudensky, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this Class BD7 beer, wine, liquor license and a Class AE adult entertainment license with continued live entertainment. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license and the AE adult entertainment license with the continuation of live entertainment.
I too, given the application, the proffer, I would approve the transfer of ownership of this Class BD7 license and Class adult entertainment license with continuation of live entertainment.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
No exhibits for the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kudensky. Good luck to those clients.
Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with instructions on how to complete the transfer that was preliminarily approved today of the Class AE adult entertainment license and Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, which by law must occur within 180 days of today's hearing. Are you ready for the next matter, Mr. Chair?
I am.
And the next matter is Mr. Kadensky's final matter for the docket today. Applicant Ming Q Vo, The Bun Shop Broadway LLC, trading as The Bun Shop. Premises are proposed to locate at 509 to 513 South Broadway, known as 509 South Broadway. And this is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-903C2 double little I, requiring $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 51% of food sales, and a seating capacity of a minimum of 75, but not more than 150 individuals. And applicant is also requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Again, for the last time, maybe not the last time in life, but for today, Melvin J. Konecki, representing the applicant in this case. This is an application for a new Class B license. Mr. Vo is here with me. He operates the Bun Shops. He has two of them active now, one in Baltimore City and one in Baltimore County. They do not have alcoholic beverage licenses. This will be the first one that's going to have one to operate. He was previously approved on Charles Street at 527 North Charles Street. However, that they've been held up due to sprinklers and so forth. That is not open. This would be an application to operate. Some of us may remember this place as I, wax nostalgic at this point. It used to be the old Broadway movie on Broadway. My dad had a bar at 1614 Avenue, so I used to sneak in there every time I could get in there and buy my clothes at Cohen's. This place has been operating previously as a restaurant. It started out with the Polish Castle and went through various different phases. At this point, Mr. Vo is going to operate it as a restaurant. He has supplied a floor plan, menu, and capital investment numbers. He has met with the Fells Point Residents Association. There should be a letter in the file in your package. On December 7th, they approved the liquor license for the Bun Shop. He will operate within the rules and regulations of Liquor Board. He will become a member of the Fells Point Residents Association and the other associations there. That his people who are working there, who are serving alcohol, be alcohol certified. And otherwise, I think he'll be a fine addition to the community.
Does the floor plan meet the seating requirements?
I submitted it, and I think Mr. Blendy has it. We had one that was a little bit more than 150. We reduced it to 150 in an amendment.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Do we have anyone else who wishes to testify, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
Thank you. Mr. Konecki, on the basis of the materials that were submitted to the commission, including the investment information, seating information, and other requirements for this license, as well as your proffer, I vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with delivery of alcoholic beverages. Commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license, and also the requesting of delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Based upon the application and the proffer for Mr. Kadensky, I too would approve the new Class B license with the delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Ms. Russell?
Michael Exhibit for the record, Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Fells Point Residents Association.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kadensky. Good luck to Mr. Vo.
Thank you very much.
That concludes this matter before the board. An applicant will receive follow-up correspondence from this email or from this agency with instructions on how to obtain the Class B beer, wine, and liquor license that was approved by the board preliminarily today. Are you ready for the next matter, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I believe the last matter on today's docket, and I will move folks into the panel if the chair will indulge me, is applicants Thomas Sumin Kwan, Lin Yang Wang, and Meng Li Wang, South Broadway Cuisine LLC, trading as Not Just Crab, Cajun, and Seafood Bar. Proposed premises are located at 514 South Broadway. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-903 C2 little I, requiring $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 51% in food sales, and a seating capacity of 75, but not more than 150 individuals. Licensees are not represented by an attorney, but or applicants. Martin Johnson is a representative, and all other members are in if the board wishes to swear them in, Mr. Chair.
Yes, let's swear them in.
Great, I see Mr. Kwan, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Wang. Okay, Ms. Wang. If you can all please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury? And please state your name before your response.
Martin Johnson, yes, I do.
Lian Ying Wang,
Okay.
yes, I do.
Lian Ying Wang.
Lian Ying Wang.
Okay. And can you say your response?
Respond.
Okay. And Mr. Kwan.
Thomas Kwan, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Johnson, you're going to speak for these folks?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm a liquor license consultant. I would like to testify after Mr. Kwan testifies. You have an owner testifier.
Okay, Mr. Kwan, let's want to tell us about this operation?
Sure. My name is Tom Kwan. The restaurant was purchased by two sisters, Lian Ying and Mengli Wang, about 3 years ago. Back then it was known as Asahi Sushi. And since the purchase of the restaurant, they've also purchased the entire property as well. And at the time, there was no liquor license from the previous seller. Lian and Meng have run the restaurant without alcohol. And many customers over the past 3 years, have asked for beer, wine, and mixed drinks. The ability to sell beer, wine, and mixed drinks will accommodate the desire of customers to enjoy them with their meals. As a native Baltimorean, I would say it's almost sacrilegious not to have a beer with your seafood. But Lian and Meg have brought me in to help with the management of the business, and I've known them roughly about 6 to 7 years. Another friend who owns a restaurant suggests that we reach out to Martin for help with this liquor license project. Over the years, we've made improvements to the restaurant, including menu changes and extensive renovations. Most notably, we migrated from just sushi to be inclusive of all seafood, and our capital investment exceeds $500,000. We have 19 tables with seating for 76 customers and a small dining bar seating an additional 4 customers, so that brings the total to 80 total seats. Our food sales will easily exceed the minimum 51% of our revenue. And if our license is approved, stock alcohol will be stored in a secure location. The 3 of us will manage the alcohol along with our general manager, Kenix Yuan, and that's KENIX-YUAN, Kenix Yuan. She has 15 years of restaurant management experience and will be on site approximately 60 hours per week. Mengli has 28 years of experience in the restaurant business, and she currently is a part owner of a licensed restaurant in Howard County. That business has a clean liquor board record with no violations or warnings. Day-to-day business, at least one of us will be at the restaurant every day. All 3 of us took Mr. Johnson's alcohol awareness class in 2019 to prepare for this project. If approved, we would have 5 members of staff who would be able to handle alcohol, including the 3 of us, and they would be trained as well. We plan to increase the number of employees who would handle alcohol to approximately 9. Our business hours right now are Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 to 10 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Currently, right now, we're closed on Tuesdays, but we plan to expand to 7 days a week. We have no reason to believe if we are granted this license, there will be any negative effect on the neighborhood or other licensed businesses. Mr. Johnson spoke with the community groups, the Fells Point Resident Association and the Fells Point Community Association, as well as City Council Member Zeke Cohen's office, and no one had any objections to our application for the license. With Mr. Johnson, we have studied the board's regulations, including obtaining alcohol from wholesalers and required purchase and employee records, as well as the board's welcome packet. And at this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Johnson to testify, pending any questions from the board.
Let's hear what Mr. Johnson has to say, and then I'll see if the board has questions.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the board. I joined this team in 2019 prior to working in liquor license consulting on my own and for half a dozen law firms. I was the Howard County Liquor Inspector in the police department. I spent 25 years there, 13 were doing all of retail alcohol investigation. I evaluated our need for alcoholic beverage service here. The customers generally are families, couples, and small groups of friends. We haven't had any behavioral customer problems, no criminal problems, but we're still installing interior and exterior video surveillance system with an extended retention time, just in case recordings are needed by the police department or liquor board's inspectors. If approved, we'll together develop a manual of alcohol service policies and procedures. Then they'll include age verification, sobriety evaluation, and prohibited practices issued by the board. We'll make sure we teach all the policies and procedures to the manager and any other future assistant managers and all the members of the team who would handle alcohol at all. Those managers and staff members will have to sign for those policies, and they're going to be given a copy to keep. I will create a written self-inspection regimen for the licensees so that they'll be able to inspect themselves before the inspectors get there to make sure that we're always in compliance. I'll also arrange for the staff members to attain alcohol awareness certification, either through my own program or through another trusted provider. Finally, we'll be doing our first renewal together. I'll make sure that that gets done properly. And these folks are great to work with. They know that I'm available free of charge for phone calls anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I think that they'll be a good addition to the community.
All right, thank you. Commissioners have any questions for either Mr. Kwan or Mr. Martin?
No questions.
No questions. Very comprehensive. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have public comment, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
All right, well, gentlemen and ladies, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, including exhibits that we received electronically before the hearing, and the testimony this morning from Mr. Kwan and Mr. Johnson, I'd vote to approve this application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I also approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license.
Based upon the application and the testimony, I too would approve the application for a new Class beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license.
Ms. Russell?
Medical exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, photos. Board Exhibit 2, menu.
Mr. Kwan, Mr. Johnson, and others, congratulations. Good luck with this venture, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to your staff. They're terrific to work with. After 37 years in law enforcement, I know how the government's supposed to work. They do a great job. Thank you.
We're even better when we're open. But thank you. We appreciate that. They are excellent.
That concludes this matter before the board, and applicants will receive follow-up correspondence from this agency with instructions on how to obtain the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license that the board approved preliminarily this morning. That, I believe, is that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do you want to read the adjournment, please?
Yes, sir. The board will be in recess until January 27th, 2022. The board shall post on its website, provide notice to applicants and or attorneys, and conduct a virtual hearing on this date. Please call our office at 410-396-4377 between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. with any questions or concerns that you have on this matter or any other.
Thank you, Mr. Blendy. And as always, thanks to my fellow commissioners and to all the members of our staff for their great work that was just commended, and I noted that. and for all who participated today. Have a pleasant day. We'll see you in 2 weeks.